Welcome back to Random J. Let's get gunning. So what if we only ate food from local farms? Well, here's what the news got to say about it. In recent years, there has been mounting pressure to rethink what we eat in order to reduce climate change. Many people have switched to veganism due to their concerns over the environmental impact of the global meat and dairy industries. But farmers, butchers and grocers across the UK are pushing for an alternative. Nay shit, Sherlock, we already know that. They would like to see more people eating foods that are produced in their local area, significantly reducing the distance from farm to fork. But is this sort of lifestyle realistic or even possible in a society where 24-hour big brand supermarkets allow us to consume anything that takes our fancy? Well, someone says it's fresher and tastes like home. IT worker Dorothy Warlick buys organic food from her local grocery in Glasgow, which makes up for the majority of her diet. She has a degree in horticulture and has been practicing a local diet for so long that she no longer gives it much thought. The environmental argument for this way of life over diets such as veganism, she says, is that plant-based diets can rely heavily on imported produce. Avocados and soya largely come from Central and South America, although the majority of soya we import is fed to livestock.
There has to be a refocus on supplying ourselves with food. That's something that motivates me,
said Dorothy, who was originally from Germany.
With climate change, a lot of countries will struggle to produce the amount of food they are consuming, but the UK will do comparatively well.
One of the major challenges for Miss Warlick is sourcing organic seasonal foods from supermarkets, which she says
global in what they sell. There's not much organic food, whereas there's much more in other countries in Europe. You don't really need to think about it. It's enjoyable to eat food that comes from nearby. It's fresher and represents the area that you are in.
Ruben Chester's owner of the sustainable foods social enterprise Lacivor has been eating local produce almost exclusively for many years. He says that an increasing number of people in Glasgow are interested in local produce and that demand is so strong he has expanded his grocery shop in the city's Govenil area twice in recent years. One of the joys of his diet, he says, is taking advantage of seasonal changes, which during the winter means a lot of root vegetables and things like squash which store well. At this time of year, I have soups and hearty stews that are good for the soul, he said. When spring arrives, he replaces warm dishes with leafy greens, fresh salads, spinach, rockets, charred spring kale and baby carrots. Meat does come into his diet, but far less than your average Brit. He says that large-scale meat farms are harmful to the environment because animals are fattened on imported crops. But that is not the only option for consumers. He said,
the animals on the farm I use are entirely grass-fed, so the nutrients are kept in the area. The dialogue is plant-based equals good, meat equals bad, but it's more complicated than that.
Mr. Chester agrees that living this sort of lifestyle can be more expensive for families in low-income households. He estimates he spends around £30 to £40 per week on food, which includes a £10 vegetable box from his own shop, but that it could be done for around £25 for an adult who ate mostly vegetables and grains.
It depends on what you're replacing, he said. If you're buying processed foods, it's much better to buy local and cook for yourself. If you're buying frozen pizzas and ice cream, it's probably cheaper than that as well.
In Scotland, the majority of farmland is currently used for sheep, beef and other cattle, largely in Aberdeenshire, in the Highlands, Dairy farming mostly occurs in the southwest of Scotland, with poultry in Teesside and Fife. In order for every person to have access to locally sourced diet, Mr. Chester says a greater proportion of the land would need to be shared among a variety of farmers rather than big food selling. 500 different types of frozen potatoes. This is longer than I thought. How would my diet change? Asks one person. If you live in Scotland and want to eat locally, the majority of your diet would come from fruit and vegetables, as well as oats and grains, in order to keep things cost effective. That's not to say meat is off the table, just in lower supply. Animals used for meat products would ideally be fed with grass grown on their own farms, as opposed to being fattened on imported crops on an industrial scale, according to the industry's professionals. Living in this manner would involve cutting out processed foods, meaning almost all of your diet would have been cooked fresh. So, despite what is known as the Hungry Gap around March, Scotland still produces a variety of fish and seafood, and is the only grower of short sea kale during this season. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm sorry this took so long. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and as always, let's get ganning.